Hi, Aquarius Sun and Rising. Welcome to your September 2022 Astro Update. It's Raina here, and September is a very deep month for Aquarians. And you may notice every year in September that things get pretty intense for you because the Sun in Virgo is in your eighth house. And this is a general forecast, so when I say a planet is in your house on X date to X date, the transit times, it may not be exactly that way for your particular chart, but it will still give an overall flavor for the general time frame. And with Virgo being your eighth house, the sun is in this house, and on the 5th of the month, Venus goes into that area. And Venus is about romantic attraction and relationships. And when it goes into the eighth house, it can be that you want to get deeper with somebody. The eighth house is a house of intimacy, and people naturally jump to the conclusion that it's all about sex. And it's not by a long shot, because the eighth house is a water house, and being Scorpio's house, it's about intense emotions. It's about purging shadow emotions that are lurking beneath the surface and that are going unacknowledged, and the kind of things that people deny that they are feeling. So if you've ever said to somebody, "What's wrong?" and they say nothing, and you know that something's wrong, they may not want to admit that they're angry, or that they're jealous, or that they're envious, um, or that they're sad. These are the kinds of things that people don't necessarily acknowledge, but they're still there. So there could be themes around death, but death, obviously, death is not just about physical death. It can be about transformation, whether you're trying to become a whole different type of person, or whether you're just going through a totally different phase in your life. The other thing that the eighth house can represent is other people's money. So this can be in the form of inheritances. I always say death plus other people's money is an inheritance. But also when somebody's getting divorced, and even like child support or loans, things like that, that can be the eighth house. And because you had Venus in the seventh house and other planets in recent weeks, you've had Leo energy, that it could be, in your opposite house, the seventh house, that can be legal affairs. So they can be courtroom issues that have to do with where money is a result, and this may be the time when you have that payout out. So it could be something along those lines as well. On the 9th, there's a Mercury retrograde in Libra. And Libra is a fellow air sign. So this is going to be in your 9th house, and it's going to go back into your 8th house, into Virgo, on the 23rd, right after the equinox. So if I look at those two houses and say, what could be something that you are going back and thinking about, rethinking, the one of the common traits that I can see about the 8th and the 9th houses is that there's a spiritual connection. The 8th house, the Scorpio side of things, is more metaphysics and shamanism, and it's anything to do with the dead, like, medium, doing medium seances or something like that, the occult, and this involves astrology and the tarot, but also something like, the Ouija board, which I don't recommend, but those kinds of practices where you're trying to contact spirits or the disincarnate, those who've crossed over. But in addition to that, it can be any kind of transformation. And the ninth house or Sagittarius house can be that positive thinking, religion in general, especially, I'd say, organized systems of thought, so different organized religions, but God in general, philosophies. But it's also, but those, I was going to say it's also long distance travel, but that's not connected to the eighth house. I'm trying to draw the connection there. And so, how I would see this is if you're someone, maybe it's a course of studies or something where you're doing something more traditional, and you're thinking to yourself, and this could even be the ninth house is a house of higher learning. So let's say you're studying organized religion or world religions, or you're in, what do they call that? Like a divinity school. What's the thing where you're in, like a theology? You're studying theology, and it's too dry for you, and you just feel like that's not what you're into, and so you get into shamanism or something like that, or just some organized religion that you belong to, and you're rethinking that, like, this is not no longer enough for me. And it's really interesting because I think that a lot of times the organized religions are very there's a lot of control there, and a lot of do's and don'ts that you have to follow. I feel like when you are on your individual path, you will naturally gravitate towards right thinking and right living. Ethical behavior will come natural or naturally to you. uh, there there's always like this kind of implicit threat that if you don't do X, Y, or Z, this will happen. So sometimes when people are having a spiritual awakening, even though if they've always felt this connection to God, they may not be able to stand that kind of indoctrination anymore. And I shouldn't really put it like that because I don't want to impose any kind of personal beliefs on a reading like this. But I think you know what I mean, because sometimes we have to walk our own path that deviates from that, from certain set patterns. I've always admired people that are able to just devote themselves to a certain belief system because it can make things a lot easier. But some of us have never really felt like we fit into certain paradigms. And I don't think there's anything wrong with either path as long as it serves you. But in this case, as an Aquarius especially, because I know a lot of Aquarians really do value their individuality, and conforming to groupthink can be very difficult for you. So you may be challenging some of these beliefs and kind of going into something that's more open-ended. So yeah. And then Mercury will be going back into that area of the occult on the 23rd, like I said. And on the 10th, there is a full moon at 17 degrees of Pisces, and this is going to be your second house of earned income, so that could be very good for um, some kind of a increase in your finances, maybe a raise or a bonus. But for some people, you might be letting go of a source of income because there could be endings. For Aquarians, you have Neptune transing this particular house in its own sign of Pisces. So some Aquarians may be feeling a lot less attached to money in general with Neptune residing in this house for the last 10 years, that you might be a little bit more trusting in the universe so that you can let go of something that's not serving you. And this full moon may just kind of give you that insight into that. The equinox is on the 22nd or 23rd of September, depending on where you live. And a couple days later, we have the new moon here. So this is that ninth house. So you may be feeling like you want to travel. You want to expand your territory, Aquarius. This is during a Mercury retrograde. So if you had plans like studying abroad or something like that, there might be a snafu or two. So your passport might not be kosher or something, something might have to be redone. But I do feel like, go 2023 especially will begin a period of time when, and it like actually in the fall of 2023, you'll have a solar eclipse here in Libra. And that might kick off a period of time, even into 2024, where there's actually like a strong push to be going far away from where you live for some reason. Mercury, okay, so I already said Mercury going back into that eighth house. And then on the 29th, Venus goes into this ninth house. And Venus, in terms of love, can bring a love interest from somebody who's from a different culture. Now, if you are traveling, Aquarius, you can meet somebody during your travels. This could be somebody, whoever it is, it could be somebody from a different ethnicity, some type of different culture or race. And this is already something that Aquarians are up for. So that just makes it even more likely. This may be enjoying the higher mind. So if you are somebody who is of retirement age, maybe you're going to be auditing some classes at your local university. Now that it's a new semester, maybe if you are traveling, you're going to be hitting up some museums or something like that. But it's really enjoyment of the intellectual things in life. And so that may be going to some kind of like a poetry reading or a book signing. Publishing can be the ninth house. So that's what I have for you, Aquarius. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I'm promoting my double readings because they're a great value. 2 full-length readings for a special price. an hour of natal chart analysis and an hour of transits for the upcoming 12 months. And that's called my deep dive reading, perfect for the 8th house transits that you're going to be experiencing. And then I have a combo of chart analysis and tarot for people who like the tarot, called a whole enchilada. I have standalone readings. I'm at RainaMoonAstrology.com. The link is below. Thanks for listening. Have a great month. Take care.